Oh, yeah. AI overview. There are many podcasts with grounded or performance in their title, but none are specifically named grounded performance podcasts. That's from Google AI overview. So
Yeah, they
I
know.
guess I don't really
No.
have like an intro here, but yeah, dude, Eric Weber. This is Big T on a call with Big E. Looking forward to talking to you. Maybe this is called Grounded Performance Podcast. I don't know. But I'm just happy to have you
Grounded
here.
Performance Podcast,
Yeah, yeah.
episode 1.
Episode 1, pilot. Um, dude, good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a couple days since we chatted.
Yeah, it's been a couple days since we chatted, but it's been even longer since I got to see your beautiful face.
Yeah, dude, I haven't touched you in almost 2 years.
Yeah, normally me and Eric, when we were working at University of Denver, would always embrace in a warm hug where we would go cheek to cheek and kind of touch faces a little bit because it was just a warm feeling that, we don't get to experience too often. And we knew we were in the golden days.
Think like rams brushing horns with each other. It,
That's
it was
exactly
like
what it
that,
was.
but we just don't have horns.
Yeah, we were pioneers because that's what University of Denver was. So it's two pioneers brushing horns, essentially. But dude, since then, you have been at
High Point.
High Point, correct? Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And you've been there for about a year and a half now, ish.
Yeah, coming up on a year and a half here. Actually, like on the dot, a year and a half. Um, been working with men's lacrosse, women's volleyball, and this year picked up men's golf as well. So yeah, I've been out here a year and a half, settling into North Carolina. We got beautiful fall weather here on the way.
Dude, North Carolina is a beautiful area. I do miss the East Coast in that aspect, right? Like it's it's uh it's a good place whether you stay there or not, it's a great place to live at least for a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, dude, I will never turn it down. Like the winter, I think last winter was the worst they had in a while. My first winter there, and we got like 8 inches of snow total. It's pretty chill.
So you're at High Point now. Before that, me and Eric here met at University of Denver. Before that, where were you? What was kind of like your route? What if those who are listening, or if anybody's listening, I don't know. The route of a strength and conditioning coach is typically going to a bunch of universities and learning stuff before you finally get a paying position. So where was your what was your journey like?
Yeah, it's been circuitous. I went to the University of Dayton, graduated from there in 22. I changed my major halfway through school. So sophomore year, COVID hit. Um, I was sitting in a marketing internship of a family friend. It was 11 a.m. I'd finished all my snacks, and I was like, man, I could do a beer right now. I was like, a Miller, a Coors Light sounds good. And I did a double take, and I was like, whoa, that is not my cope. And from that, literally that week, I changed my major because of that moment, and figured out I could graduate on time, graduate with a degree in kinesiology, interned through the rest of my 2 years at Dayton, personal trained through those 2 years at Dayton. Um, in between junior and senior year, spent a little bit of time at Texas Christian University working with there. It was COVID summer, so it was weird. A little bit of baseball and then majority football. That was just invaluable time for getting on the floor coaching experience. Like even if you don't want to work in football, which I don't, I can safely say that. It's just such great coaching reps. Like you're a 21-year-old kid and trying to find the balance of coaching and being an intern. It's like you learn a ton just from those guys, like of how to act, how not to act on the weight room floor, how to gain rapport with people, and how to like instantly ruin it by being some nerd. So that was an awesome experience. Post grad, went to University of Denver for the fellowship. My second year in the fellowship, you came home. You were a former fellow, so everybody had spoken about you for a year. And when I heard you were coming back, I forget what I thought. Like I looked at your Instagram before, and I like I don't know, maybe in the back of my mind, I was like, "Oh, former
This guy's a
fellow,
douche.
yeah, former fellow, I gotta show this guy up." And day one, I our first conversation, it was kinda like the conversations we have today. You're
Yeah.
just, like, very much, um, no posing, no nothing, just me and Big T. So, yeah, spent 2 years at Denver, worked with pretty much all Olympic sports there, worked with, triathlon and dive pretty heavily, worked with golf, Nordic ski. Picked up tennis for a little while before your arrival, and then assisted pretty heavily with the lacrosse team with Coach Moss, which definitely gave me a good framework, some groundwork of how I build things out here at High Point.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah, and thank you for dropping, groundwork, some branding for us, Grounded Performance Podcast Groundwork. I know that was intentional.
Yep.
No, but that's awesome. You very quickly too, like, realized it seems like you were pretty self-aware very early. Like, I was a complete idiot, still am until much later in life, but you're saying at 21, you quickly realized that, like, grabbing a beer was not the coping mechanism that you wanted in your life, which one, I think that's awesome, but then 2, I remember, early on, I realized how young you were. You were, like, 23. I think you're, what, 25 now?
Mhm.
I think when I met you, you were 23 and you had already had a podcast. You already had a podcast. What age did you start that podcast?
That would have been the first year I was in Denver, I think late. So I think 2022 or 23, I started that. I went to Target one day, picked up a mic. It's actually this right here. It doesn't work anymore. I just use my computer mic. I gotta get a new one. But yeah, it originally started as, and it still kind of is. Um, I like to write. I just like write essays in kind of like a conversational tone about certain things. And then I read those essays and kind of go off in a little forays where I see fit. I think it's a skill to be able to do a podcast solo with no notes. I think I've done it once or twice, but generally I'll go off of those like essay form type beats and make those my podcast, 15 to 30 minutes generally. But then this year I've been interviewing a lot more coaches, using it almost like a networking tool
Yeah.
and learning a bunch. So it's been cool.
Dude, that's awesome. Like, that's such an intimidating thing to do. Like, I remember one of the conversations that I think it was me and Moss had was how maybe he wasn't as intimidated as I was of, like, starting to record content and put yourself out there. But I remember by that time, like, you had already had, like, I don't know, hundreds of posts, which I think is underrated to some people. Like, putting yourself out there and, like, making that a part of your routine and the discipline it takes to continually put out content, and really you're trying to help people. Like, you're trying to put out good information for the masses on whatever topic it is that you're talking about, but you have, like, built a very large kind of foundation of content out there, which I think is awesome, and you've done that all by, like, 25 years old, dude. That's crazy. What was like the motivation for creating content, whether that be Instagram posts? You kind of touched on the podcast. Yeah, was there like a certain goal that you had for the content piece, like your Instagram, I suppose?
It started off, so my username is Bounce with Rick, and it started off as my dunk journey. Like I wanted to dunk off 2 feet, and I did. And
That's
that was
awesome.
like that's what I started. So if you go back to my first post, it's just like me and Chanhassen Lifetime running Daniel Bach's jump science program. That's how it started. I kept just kind of posting what was interesting to me. And eventually it kind of turned into like a source of business. I still view it mainly as like I'm not yet in the place. I went through a phase during Denver where I was kind of playing the game of like trying to like niche down and do the whole like online fitness thing and like make it a real business. And this could be just like a limiting belief, but I just don't feel like I'm in a spot to do that right now. Like I would much rather just have friends, acquaintances, do really good work with them, and then grow organically through them, which is kind of like how it's happened. I've probably worked with like 4 or 5 randos. I don't even know, maybe more than that, but a decent amount of people off of social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. Um, but really, it's almost like a vessel for expressing thoughts and opinions intelligently. Like it's so easy to think, and it's really difficult to put your thoughts into coherent sentences.
Dude, in
So
simple
I think it's a
words.
really good way to do that.
You put me on to Hermosi. I learned a lot from Hermosi in the past, like, 2 years, but I remember one of the things that he said was, like, the complexity comes in to turning a long paragraph or 2 paragraphs into its shortest form possible. Like, if you can get a page down to, like, a sentence, or I don't know, sometimes even shorter, like, that's where the complexity gets in, and that's when you've really kind of proved and demonstrated that you really understand the subject. Because I know I find myself, like, word vomiting and using a lot of words to explain something that probably doesn't need it. But yeah, there's a massive skill in that, which I think is something that I definitely want to develop as well. So that's cool that that's something that you focus on too.
Creating content is like there is like an art to getting views and like going viral, and I still am not great at it, but like I know that generally the more time I put into a post, the more cuts that are in it. If I voice over, Like, if my body or face is in the video, if I'm speaking, I know those perform better
Yeah.
than, like, just me training in a video. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, whoop-de-doo, like, you put a bunch of work into it, it's probably gonna do better. Makes sense, but, like, there's also just a formula, and I definitely need to learn more about that because 'cause I've been off. I've recently kinda gotten back onto posting. I go in little seasons of it,
Mhm.
but, it's just a good, yeah, it's been a source of business, and also it's, I do not wanna be relying on one place for income, especially on, like, a strength coach's salary. So just having that as, like, kind of another outlet, 1 for creativity, but 2 for financial purposes has
No,
been
for
awesome.
sure. For sure. Yeah. What are some things that you've kind of in your first year and a half of working at High Point now? I feel like you had already done so much and built an awesome foundation even when I knew you as a fellow, which is like a for anybody listening, it's like a graduate assistant. It's like a GA position. So you're not quite full-time yet. It's like a part-time position. And you had built a lot of this stuff up to that point. So like from there at your 1.5 year mark, as a full-time strength and conditioning coach, more or less with no help, right? The nice thing about being at Denver is you have a lot of coaches to learn from and that are almost responsible for you to some degree, but you've been on your own. What are some big things that you've learned?
I think, like, the overarching biggest thing is that we're just after a stimulus. You're only after a stimulus in a session. If I can just get 2 really good efforts out of somebody, like, we work up to 2 really good efforts in whatever, a Zercher squat, then I know we've gotten what we're after. And, sometimes I can forget that, and I just have things written down on the paper, and we just go through the session. Like, when I come back to that, it's always a much better session when I lay out beforehand what we're doing, what we're working up to, why we're doing it. Bang, let's go. Intent is higher, like, my energy is better. I think that's a huge thing coaching wise that I've learned is like we just need a stimulus. How can we get the athletes to that? Not always a success being 100, but like that is the overarching goal. And then second, I would say, um, the biggest mistake that I made last year was not putting my foot down on things that were like bad decisions. So, for example, we had a sprint day scheduled for Monday morning, and that was the only time that was like available at the time. And so I was like, well, yeah, we have to sprint. So, like, well, yeah, let's do it. And I should have been like, okay, I worked with Moss for 2 years. He mentioned it multiple times. Like, don't sprint your lacrosse players on a Monday. It's the most intense thing you can do on your nervous system. Everybody went and did college things Friday and Saturday.
Mhm.
Most people rotted in bed on Sunday and ate greasy crap food, slept decently on Sunday night, maybe, and then woke up at 5 a.m. to come and sprint. We had a lot of hamstring injuries, and that was not good. We ended up shifting the day to Tuesday, and bang, problem solved. But so, like, the lesson in that being put your foot down. You have an expertise that your coaches don't, and when the time is right and when it's for the team's best interest, like you have to come in and say, this is actually, we shouldn't do this, or we should do this. Here's why.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's tough to start that process of you're in the position now, and you were before even like as a fellow, where you like you make decisions, and those decisions can like drastically impact a lot of things now, right? Like if you do something really demanding on a day that maybe is less than ideal, like worst case scenario, yeah, someone can kind of like strain a hamstring, right? And maybe they're out for a week. Having the almost courage to just be like, hey, this didn't work, as opposed to the ego that you see within the coaching side of things so often, where it's like because they made that decision, they now need to justify it and why it's not their fault that like something happened. It's like, no, 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 I messed up, guys. We're gonna change it. We're gonna do something else. That's on me. Easy pivot. And like I don't think anybody ever like bats an eye at that. It's when like that doesn't happen that people really lose trust in that coach. Dude, and you talked about just being after a stimulus. And dude, that's like when I was trying to learn how to program. I remember I would like ask all these coaches, like, how do I program? Teach me how to program. And they're just like, well, what are you after? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, well, I want to, do, I don't know, do all these things. I want to create a good athlete. It all came down to defining a target. If you can then just figure out what you're trying to do, then the programming becomes easy. You know, like there's many methods and, principles that guide you that all you need to do is really just kind of like lean back and so many different things work as long as like you kind of get good at just defining simply, kind of going back to what you were talking about before, defining simply what it is that you're after. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think that's, yeah, that's awesome. And it's super helpful. So I guess for if there's any coaches out there, anybody who's looking to figure out how to program for themselves, right? Like I think that's a large barrier for a lot of people is the programming side of things. I know it was for me for a long time. Yeah.
Here's the thing, like, it can be all complex in sports performance, but, like, most people listening are probably gonna be people who want to look better naked and, like, perform pretty well,
Yeah.
right? And in that case, you should train like a bodybuilder for a good chunk of your training. Like, you should be within 3 reps of failure and, in compound movements, and you really like, muscle building is a really simple way of programming. Just pick 2 movements, pushes and pulls, go and hit that 2 to 3 times a week, and then go and hit a knee bend and a hip hinge for 4 to 5 sets twice a week. It's like bang, you're good to go. It's your muscles are just like dumb monkeys. You just need to like keep beating them up and then go and eat good food and don't lose weight. And then good things probably happen. Like
Dude, for sure.
it can be that simple for a
Yeah.
stimulus.
No, absolutely. And it's like, I think so many people, myself included, with so many things in the day of instant gratification that we're kind of in now, we look for that secret. It's like, well, what do I need to do for this? Like, what do I need to do for like my low back pain or to look better or to lose weight, to gain weight, whatever it is, dude, 100% baby. And yeah,
Rock.
it's never a secret that nobody has. It's always very simple things that you just need to do consistently, that maybe nobody really is doing. And you touched on maybe the average person who's listening who wants very simple goals like I want to look better, I want to feel better and perform better, right? Like what are some things that you focus on with someone who's newer to working out compared to someone who's more advanced in their fitness journey, whether that be an athlete or not?
I mean, something that's just so supported both anecdotally and in research is like giving people a sense of self-agency or self-efficacy, building weeks of consistency. So not overreaching to start. Like, hey,
Yeah.
can you get into the gym once a week and hit a full body session and then go for 10-minute walks after every single meal? Like, can you just start there? Like, yeah, I can absolutely do that. And it's so hard to say that in the beginning because someone's fired up, they want to do more. But just what I've found when I've really stuck to that with like a new client or just when giving advice to somebody, it's you need to stack weeks of consistency and just change your identity first. Like it has to be I'd rather have you hit once a week for 52 weeks than 3, 4 times a week for 2 months. It's like the most I almost like threw up with how trite of fitness advice that was, but it is that. That is the secret. Go once a week and start walking.
Dude, 100%. Yeah, that was one thing that I kind of saw is a lot of people out the gate are like, no, I want to work out 5 days a week. And that's awesome if
Stoked.
you can sustain it. Exactly what you said. And I think you even put it better than I could have put it. Even just starting with one session a week and 3 walks a day will do so much for you. And it at least, hopefully, ideally, would like keep you hungry for the next week. Cause the burnout is real. Like there's so much to do every day now for everybody. Everybody's so busy. And there's so limited time. We talked before about if they were to just add like 2 to 6 hours to the day, that'd be sick, right? You could do so much more. I'd probably waste those two. But either way, there's just not enough time to fit all the things that we need to do in a day or even in a week and take care of ourselves sometimes or it's tough, right? So you throw a giant wrench in that, which is with all good intentions, right? Like working out 5 days a week, that's at least another 5 hours of your week that's gone when you were maybe barely keeping up with all these other things and barely enjoying any time that you had to yourself. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like the burnout is real and sustainability and consistency is by far the biggest thing.
And in terms of effectiveness, like look at it. If you're at 0 right now and you go to once a week, again, going after a stimulus, your
Yep.
body is at a 0 stimulus right now, and you hit one full body session. You hire a personal trainer and you hit a full body session once a week. That's a massive stimulus from
Yeah.
going to not pressing 30-pound dumbbells to pressing 30-pound dumbbells until almost failure. Your body's gonna be like, "Oh, what is going on right now?" And you come back next week and do it. It's probably, I mean, could you get better results with 2 or 3 sessions?
Sure.
Yes, you could. But if you do it once a week, and you start sending that signal for 3, 4 weeks straight, like that, you will start to change your body doing that. You just
Dude,
will.
exactly, and, like, I think sometimes it can be an intimidating or daunting task, right? Like, after the first workout session, no matter how hard or light you go, sometimes people are just incredibly sore, right?
Mhm,
And, you know, that can be a barrier, so hopefully they just do what they need to do. Going on 3 walks, I think, is a great thing for just kind of reducing a lot of that soreness, getting some type of blood flow, and then continuing the next week. You don't have to work out or pressure yourself to do all these things the next day or the next 2 days when you feel awful, but, like, just do it again next week.
mhm,
See, each week you'll feel a little bit better until eventually, like, after a few weeks, you really don't get that sore, right? Like, not to the point where you're debilitated. You're in bed, all day because you can't move. No,
mhm.
I think that's a good point and definitely a good approach. What are some other, like, differences that you've seen between training like a college athlete and training private clients, like busy professionals or anyone who's just trying to live a more capable and healthier lifestyle?
I think college athletes and high performing professionals have similar time demands. So it's time management and learning to eat like an adult, regardless of the circumstances you're in. Like the the similarity is that they're both horrible at managing their lifestyle. Like you think Division 1 athletes are dialed with their nutrition and their sleep habits and their recovery. It's like, no, 10% of my athletes are, if that. The rest are a general population fitness client who do not know anything about nutrition except for what like one of their coaches said in high school. There's some really basic knowledge that I can teach them that will drastically affect results. Like if you nutrition is the biggest lever. If you can get to like 70-30, 80-20 with nutrition and like not binge eat, you're going to be in a really good spot. And it's the same thing with training. It can be so simple. Like can you just eat meat, fruit, potatoes and vegetables just as much as you want? Just have that food prepped. And that's one huge hurdle for people is meal prepping. Like, dude, just boil up a massive pot of potatoes, put 8 of those potatoes into a bunch of different Tupperwares, and cook up a bunch of beef and just put that into those Tupperwares. It takes 45 minutes and you feel good. You feel better.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
the
dude.
biggest thing is nutrition and lifestyle with both of them.
Yeah, and like I know for me, the toughest part with the nutrition piece, at least, is just setting the environment. Like when I have the healthy food around me, it's crazy. I eat the healthy food around me. When I don't have it, I go towards the convenient option, which is usually not too healthy. But like, no, I think those are just like dimes of just nuggets of information. You would think that at a certain level, even 22 years old, a junior or senior in college who's played a college sport for 3 years, 4 years, would have all these things dialed. And sometimes they do, right? You have your athletes who are really good about that stuff and value it. And then you have the ones that, they're still functioning off of Domino's pizza and whatever they put in their system on the weekends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just violent binge drinking.
Yeah, for being honest, absolutely. And listen, I get it. There's only a certain period of your time where like you can recover from that kind of stuff, and college is a fun social time of your life. But
Yeah.
it's also like, dude, like if you want to take it to the next level, like every inch you need, right? And nutrition is a massive one where if you just take that seriously, maybe it comes down to just staying healthier, right? Like if you're especially if you're someone who's injury prone, if you get a lot of strains, I was definitely in that boat and I've been much better recently since I've taken these things seriously, but I would get strains nonstop. And I think so much of it just came down to like what I was doing to my body, like what I was putting in. And you stay healthy, you stay on the field, you stay on the field, you get more reps, you get more reps, you get better at your sport, you get better at your sport, you go to the next level, like
Yep.
I think that's like you said, a massive lever. And then
Dude, if you're an injury prone person, just I made a post about this the other day. Like you need to check some boxes. First and foremost, are you eating enough protein? There are so many athletes I work with that are malnourished. Like
yeah,
truly, I'll look at their days and they are malnourished, and they have the physical output of like a Maasai warrior.
yeah,
They're practicing for 3 hours a day, lifting 4 times a week. It's like, dude, you need to eat more. Lacrosse is better at than volleyball. Guys are just better about eating.
yeah.
But it's like, oh my gosh, these nagging pains and injuries, so much of it would go away if you just started eating more protein. Just like go get a whey, put 2 scoops of whey protein into a shaker and just add that into your day. Like a lot of stuff will get cleaned up.
Dude, 100%. And you touched on, you touched on nutrition so simply, and again, dude, it's like not the complex answer, like what's the little pill or the one food or this magic spice or this mushroom that's gonna make the biggest difference. It's like, no, 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 just eat
Mhm.
fruit, vegetables, meats, and seeds, the things that come directly from earth, especially if you're an athlete that's putting out a lot of energy. You need any bit of energy that you can get because, like you said, so many are malnourished.
Oh my gosh. Underfueled and malnourished, overfed and undernourished. That's what
Dude,
so much of America is.
yeah, and then I think we can get down the rabbit hole of like, oh, we're overtraining, and it's like, are we overtraining or are we under recovering? You know what I mean?
Mm. Mhm. Dude, oh my gosh. Yes. And it's funny because under recovering could be a result of 2 things. It could be the under eating that we just spoke about, but then also it could be just shoveling food into your mouth, like far too large of a calorie surplus, and you can get a lot of the same symptoms, like
Mhm.
low energy, lethargy,
It's
but it's probably
inflammation.
probably even more inflammation, probably even more dangerous than under eating in that case. I don't wanna scare people from fueling, but, like, if you're in a just eating basically Chipotle 3 times a day and, like, sandwiches and PB the constant, you're just gonna, like, mess up your metabolic health, be inflamed all the time, be sluggish, like, so the 2 extremes are not a good thing. Like, for general humans, if they can just find their maintenance calories, weigh yourself for a week every morning after you pee, track your food for that week, and then kinda try and maintain your weight within a pound. If you just do that, up your protein and lift weights, like, really good stuff happens. You can recomp, like, you will lose fat and build muscle if you're not like an advanced trainee, which I'm not. So like everybody can really benefit from just fueling adequately for training, eat right at maintenance, train hard, good things happen.
Dude, absolutely. And like you touch on like potatoes, right? So simple, especially if you need a lot of energy. And I think there's kind of a misconception, at least with some people maybe, that think like carbs are bad. And it's like, dude, carbs are fantastic if you
Fantastic.
need them, right? Like if you're not practicing a sport 2 hours a day and lifting for another hour and a half a day or whatever, right? Maybe don't need that many carbs, right? But all carbs are a really great energy source for pretty intense things. And if you're just, working a job from 9 to 5 and you're trying to stay healthy outside of that, then yeah, maybe you don't need carbs, but they're not the enemy. They're not bad. You need less of them. But
Yeah, if
carbs are
you're
essential.
sedentary, I do like the approach of low carb. It's just
Right.
easier lifestyle
Right.
wise. But yeah, if you're training in any form, even like lifting weights, timing your carbs before, during, and after your workouts is huge. I used to think it was like in the weeds, and I mean, it is in the weeds, like carb timing, but it is a simple thing you can do. Like, hey, have most of your rice. If you're an office worker who trains once a day and isn't super active otherwise, just like have most of your carbs around your workout, potatoes, rice, and maybe like later in the night, keep it to fruit, meat, and vegetables. Like that's a really good way to eat.
Yeah. 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 No, absolutely. No, I love that approach. So like, okay, here's one last question that I have for you then. Say say you were to wake up one day and you were to lose all of your progress that you've gained from training throughout your whole life, right? And you had to start your fitness journey over completely. What would your approach be? What would you do if you had to start from square one?
So am I like a neonatal 25-year-old? Do I
Yeah,
look like
yeah.
an do I look like an infant?
Pretend pretend you took the from 22 to 25, so the last 3 years for you off of working out completely.
Ooh, okay. In that case, I would have a little bit of muscle memory. So I would just get back to training 3 full body days a week and eat at my maintenance calories, and I think I would gain weight pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it would be 3 full body sessions a week, some zone 2 cardio on off days, or just go for walks after meals. Eat more than your body weight in grams of protein. That's generally best for recomping.
Assuming your goal is to gain weight and gain your muscle back.
Yes. Yeah, so, like, either a slight surplus or eating right at maintenance, and also people hear that and almost I feel like people just rule out calorie tracking. It really can be super simple,
Mhm.
like really, really simple, where you have 2 or 3 meals that you just know you're gonna eat in the day, you log them the night before,
Mm.
and there's no decision fatigue in what you eat. Like you can have flexibility with other meals because you know you have these 1,600 calories built into your day, and you can go eat out with friends and make a good choice. So I guess where I'd start is meal prep, like, just make sure I have meals prepped: meat, potatoes, fruit, vegetables, rice. and then lift full body 3 times a week, and just like walk as much as I can.
Mhm.
Like that could be a recipe for the rest of your life, but especially if you're detrained, like talk about not you don't need to go beast mode right away. You don't need to train 5 or 6 days a week. Just getting back to hitting full body 2, 3 times a week would be a really good start.
Yeah, 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 and tracking your workouts too, I think is an underrated tool, right? Like, if you start at 5 pounds on dumbbell bench, and every week you increase 5 pounds, in theory, you get up to 260 pounds or 270 pounds over a year, right? Like just small increases each week. Obviously, it doesn't work exactly like that, but and then okay, how would your answer change if we assumed that you had never worked out up to 25 years old? You have all the knowledge you have now, but say somebody is 25, 30, 35, and is finally ready to start working out and they are completely new to this approach. Would it be anything different than what you said earlier of one session a week and 3 walks, or how would you approach that?
1 session a week and 3 walks, and for your 1 session, pick like if you don't lift weights and you're 25, I'm sure at one point in your life you've lifted a weight, like in high school once, or you went to the gym with your friend one time. And if there was like an exercise that you really liked, like a machine row or a chest press, just go to the gym and make that your session. Like, just be like, okay, I'm gonna work hard. Find a machine that you like, work it hard for 3 to 4 sets in the 10 to 20 rep range, and like be kind of close to failure. Get a good pump, and then walk out of the gym. If you're like, no, I want to do more, then in that case, you can get specific and say hit a dumbbell goblet squat, find a machine chest press that you like, find a machine row or a lat pull down machine that you like. And I mean, I don't really like, I would say a hinge, but it's generally just a waste unless you're there in person with somebody.
Yeah.
Um, but like watch a YouTube video on a dowel hinge
Hmm.
and then start learning how to hinge your hips. And then over time, you can start hitting RDL like deadlift variations and hip hinges, which are so important. And it's not a movement that immediately like blows up your legs or like gets you super jacked. But man, if you can hinge your hips well, it's a sign that you have a strong, even adequate amount of strength in your upper and lower body. Like if that, it's a foundational movement, hinging.
Dude, even just doing like a glute bridge, right? To start the process
Yeah,
of learning
yeah,
how to hinge,
yes, that's
Um,
really good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it definitely doesn't take much. Just consistency, like you said. Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for on such short notice hopping on this call with me. I think I texted you like an hour before we hopped on this thing, and I was just like, "Hey, I want to maybe try out a podcast. Are you down to just hop on?" You're like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Dude, it was perfect. I had a little lull. My mom's in town this weekend. I'm driving home, about to head into High Point for the volleyball game tonight. See a text from Big T. You want to get on a pod? I'm gonna jump at that opportunity.
Dude, awesome. Yeah, dude, thank you so much, and good luck to you guys this weekend with you and your teams. I know you're in like the thick of the season with volleyball, at least, and then I'm sure the thick of the off season with lacrosse and tennis. Is you know golf?
Golf, yeah,
Golf, yeah.
golf. They just won their first tourney. Actually, boys are rolling.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome. Dude,
Yeah,
awesome. Well, hey, love talking to you. We'll have to do this again soon. And yeah, I'll shoot you a call here whenever I'm doing my grocery shopping again, and I'll just talk to you for another hour whenever we land on phone tag.
beautiful vent sessions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And complete tangent. Call your friends more often. Everybody who's listening out there, your friends want to hear from you too. And I don't think we do that enough. We're isolated a lot. So I know anytime
Mm.
I get off of a phone call with a friend, my mental health is just 1,000 times better. It's crazy. It's not rocket science. It's just the best thing for you.
That natural buzz, baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, dude, thanks again for your time, and I love you. Good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love you, brother. Thanks, Taryn.